the great names of Italian and European football. Surprising perhaps to find the Sampdoria have never won the league title, but this must surely be their best ever chance. As far as Sampdoria's lineup yesterday was concerned, well, for one man in particular, 1990 has been a very traumatic year. Gianluca Vialli dropped a fortnight ago from the Italian squad altogether. He has plenty to prove on this, his last appearance of 1990. And for Inter Milan, one man for whom the year has been nothing but complete and utter success, Matthaus, leading West Germany to the World Cup, and now voted European Footballer of the Year a couple of days ago. Our commentators for this match, Andy Gray and Graham Richards.
They scarcely need to celebrate New Year here in Genoa. The two unranked and unfancied sides of the city, Genoa and Sampdoria, in the top 6 of the Italian First Division. And playing in the city this afternoon, Sampdoria in their blue, causing the change in the colours of Inter Milan, playing this afternoon in unaccustomed white. And Sampdoria kicking off with Katanec rolling the ball back in defence straight away, all the way back to goalkeeper Pagliuca. A cloudy afternoon with a reasonable temperature as the ball's thrust up the middle straight away, and a first-class shot there from Vialli, and it's a goal. An incredible start for Sampdoria, just about 30 seconds on the clock, and Internazionale caught asleep at the start, and Gianluca Vialli, the scorer, his 5th of the season, making a point surely to the Italian selectors who'd left him out of the side for last Wednesday's match against Cyprus. The ball here just thrust out of the goalkeeper's hands and bouncing on. Inter perhaps complaining about pushing, but Vialli's finishing superb across the goal, and Zenga well beaten. Andy.
This is quite an amazing start in this game, and it's a goal right out of the Wimbledon school of football, isn't it? From one end to the other. But Vialli shows great strength to shrug off Brehme and slice it straight into the corner. What a start for Sampdoria, and what is a tremendously important day in their league this year. They really must get a result today and couldn't have wished for a better start. And as you say quite rightly, Vialli making his point right away.
A fine overhead kick there, obviously confidence at a very high level as Lombardo swings his boot at that one, but doesn't make a complete connection, and out it goes. Well, it's not often you see a goal as early as this one in football anywhere in the world. In Italy, least of all, I would have thought. And it seems to me that Internazionale simply had not got their concentration going there in defence.
Well, they were certainly caught cold, but what was interesting about that shot we've just seen is how Giuseppe Bergomi, one of the most experienced players in the Inter side, just gave up the ghost. I mean, once it was a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, Graham, in respect to the pushing and shoving. But Bergomi just gave it up, and for a defender that was criminal.
Yes, certainly looking at the referee instead of the man he was supposed to be marking. Free kick to Inter. And Vialli now assisting out in defence. Matthaus with his first touch in the Sampdoria half, but a goal kick awarded down in the corner there. Well, just what Sampdoria wanted. Of course, they must have a feeling of inferiority to Inter Milan. In fact, they've only won 8 of 46 home games with Inter over the last 40-odd years. And to achieve their goal, of course, which must be their first ever Serie A championship in their history, they have to beat these strong and fancied sides in Genoa.
Yes, and what they have got this year already is they have a very good record, Graham, against the sides that are up at the top of the table with them. But just looking at Inter, I wonder if they're missing Riccardo Ferri, one of their very, very best defenders, who they lost a couple of weeks ago through a broken jaw, and it may be that just showed there.
Could be, Andy. Ball back there from Lana, one of the local lads in the Sampdoria side. Well, they could scarcely believe, as no doubt Andy Gray and I could scarcely believe, a goal in those first 30 seconds, and so easily scored. But give Vialli his due. Ball down the middle there, well headed out. Comes away here to Mikhailichenko, the Russian international. But a lot more cool defence there than was evident in the first minute of the match as Brehme hacks it away downfield. Of course, this takes tension out of the home side, doesn't it, Andy? Getting an early lead like this, it gives you that extra zip in your stride and the confidence to try just the occasional thing that you wouldn't do if it was 0-0 late in the game.
Oh yes, it removes all anxiety immediately, doesn't it, and allows you to play. But from Inter's point of view, they have to just compose themselves slightly, use the next 10-15 minutes to get back into the game, not do anything stupid like lose another goal, but really just consolidate. Sampdoria, on the other hand, would love to get another one pretty quickly, wouldn't they?
Yes, and they may do. Bianchi twice involved on this movement, the ball pushed across the middle here. Rather ambitious attempt by Battistini. And the hometown bring the ball out. Nice ball down this right side. Attilio Lombardo. Pushed across and an opportunity for a second. And Zenga down very swiftly. Zenga getting precious little cover from his experienced defenders.
Well, it was quite amazing. I just said that they need to consolidate and not give anything away, and once again they were carved right open. And really, Roberto Mancini is a far better player than that finish showed. I mean, Lombardo, who's been one of the finds of the season and was recently rewarded with his international cap and scored against Cyprus, but that's a chance for Roberto Mancini. That's a better chance than the one Vialli's just scored from.
More central to the goal, of course, and certainly no further out. Well, Sampdoria beginning to fancy themselves in this match. Dosena, very experienced player. Oh, and Zenga in trouble with the ball bouncing in front of him. Requires 2 attempts to get that one. All Sampdoria at the moment. And I can't hear what Zenga's saying there, but I've got very little doubts about it. But that was a superb shot, the sort keepers don't like there, Andy, bouncing right in front of you.
Yeah, it may have looked a bit of a fumble, and he may have looked as if he made a bit of a hash of it, but it was a difficult ball. It's bounced about a yard in front of him, and you're never quite sure where it's going to go, and Zenga's did very well to stop it in the first place, but also quick enough to get back on his feet and smother it. But it's all Sampdoria at the moment.
They're in dominant mood. Lombardo starting that movement up to Vialli, the scorer. Lombardo involved again. Hard tackle by Brehme. And Inter will just want to control the ball for a spell at the moment. Katanec bringing it over. Galichenko going for it. And a nice piece of control by Bianchi there. Facing his own goal and bringing the ball down first time. And back to Zenga. Perhaps feelings not entirely removed from my own comments there, coming out from Trapattoni, the Inter manager. Klinsmann. Taking it round the outside, but a little too ambitious, letting the ball slip away from the toe. And another goal kick. Nope. Could be that the referee's seen a foul as the ball was passed up to Klinsmann there, I think. Our referee this afternoon, Mr. Loris Stafforgia, in his 3rd season in Serie. He's an education officer, Andy. Take your own conclusions from that. Ex-school teacher perhaps, or certainly articulate. Dangerous position this. Near post, not enough length, no trouble for Sampdoria. Paganin returning it. Galichenko knocking it away to Vialli. Vialli's all over the place at the moment. Plenty of space down there. Mancini trying to get it back.
I'll tell you what, Graham, it was a wonderful attempt from Roberto Mancini there, because Mikhailichenko had made a magnificent run just out of shot there, and Mancini was wise enough and good enough to see him, and he attempted quite an impossible ball, and had it come off, Mikhailichenko was running in and goal with no one near him.
A la Martin Peters, for those actually old enough to remember these things. Right wing corner then. The Sampdoria side already a goal ahead. Klinsmann back in defence. And Bianchi, but Inter just glad to get the ball away downfield without any particular purpose at the moment. Lombardo. Serena to Bianchi. Good ball through. Serena again. Klinsmann waiting near post. There he is. Down he goes. Inter claiming a penalty there. Rather threatening attitude from Alessandro Bianchi. Andy, your view?
I'd like to see it again. I think if Jurgen Klinsmann has a problem this season, and it gives referees a problem, Graham, in respect that he does throw himself all over the place. So when something genuine happens, and I do think there may have been some contact there, and there may have been genuine foul and claims for a penalty, referees find it difficult to distinguish when someone throws themselves about the way our young friend Jurgen Klinsmann does. I mean, you can see there he is tackled, and he's tackled nothing too serious, and he throws himself and writhes about as if he's been halved in two. Now we see he's up again within 20 seconds. That shows how difficult it is. I mean, just watch the way he twists. He's hit, but then it's after he's hit where he makes a complete meal of it, and that's why it gives referees a problem, Graham.
Yes. Vialli booked on that tackle, coming in at, well, really hip height on Jurgen Klinsmann. Very questionable, Andy. Yeah. Certainly a free kick.
Yes, I mean, Vialli is a very tough, unassuming character, but I mean, all he did was rolled him off his hip, and Jurgen Klinsmann tends to make a meal of it. And I think that's what's difficult when you're refereeing.
Calling Wolf too many times, perhaps. Well, Klinsmann paid for it. Of course, it would have required a strong decision for the away town. Oh, good shot from Brehme, and very wisely indeed. Lanner getting a boot to it and turning it way back over his own goal. You couldn't let that one go past you. And into beginning to strike back after dropping a goal behind in 30 seconds. Katanec with the call. Oh, headed past the post. I think goalkeeper Pagliuca was saying there that he couldn't get out on the cross and claiming a free kick, but he will have to be satisfied with a goal. Well, Inter, of course, haven't lost a league game in 2 months. They've strolled through the European tournament, beating Partizan Belgrade. And history shows they could come here with some confidence. But a long way to go yet, Andy.
Yeah, I think only 2 victories for Sampdoria in the 8 seasons they've been back in Serie A, and that's quite an impressive record that Inter have here, and one that even as a player they will know all about, the Sampdoria players, and will be very keen to put the records right.
Nice clean header and another beautiful shot, winging in from the edge of the box, and a good save by Zenga too. Tell you, at the moment Vialli must fancy himself, and he really cracked that one. Good shot, good save. Mancini with the corner, lifted high and I think behind. Yes.
Well, that was a glorious volley, and it's something we have. I think it's Katanec that gets up, springs brilliantly. It's in Vialli, not his strongest foot, but we've seen him against Napoli not so long ago, smashing an incredible left foot volley, and he almost does the same again and brings out a fine save in Walter Zenga. Probably Zenga's a little bit fortunate it was very close to him. I think had it been any further away from him, that would have been taking the net off.
Can I point out the stars that are appearing on our pictures are in fact not in your eyes, not even at New Year, but in fact are on the net to protect the players from the crowd behind the goal. Nothing much we can do about it, but please do not adjust your set. Inter coming back. European Footballer of the Year, Matthaus goes tumbling. Mikhailichenko's not very pleased. He thinks there's a bit of play acting involved. But I think on that occasion there wasn't much doubt about it, because Matthaus was in clear possession and making ground very swiftly. But he too makes a meal of it.
Yes, I think Katanec was a bit annoyed at Lothar Matthäus' reaction again, and nothing much in the challenge, and once again I'm not sure whether Katanec's got him.
Bringing his experience to this situation. Nicely headed on by Battistini. Klinsmann. Oh, good shot, and just enough from Pagliuca. Just enough. He couldn't have seen that ball for much of its travel, and he got his fingertips to it. And Clint, so fine. I think that the referee was fooled and has given a goal kick.
Yes, I think he was, Graham. It's a fine move, and Inter are pressing the way back in. Klinsmann, it's a good effort on goal, and Pagliuca just gets a touch to it, but so fine was the touch that even the referee didn't see it.
That's right, but it was fundamental, wasn't it? Good piece of control there by Serie, bringing it back for Klinsmann too. But Klinsmann really cracked this through the defender's legs, and that was heading bottom corner.
Yes, I think you're quite right. His touch was just enough to put it wide. But that'll give into confidence. They've struggled manfully and they've battled back into the game. And they will feel now, after getting that chance, that the game is not beyond them.
Yes. Well, I would say they were a fingernail away from an equaliser there, but these days fingernails are irrelevant, aren't they? Goalkeepers have got gloves on them that substantially extend the area of the hand, and that was significant then.
I'm sure that these goalkeepers, they pad out the fingers in those gloves, Graham. No one can have fingers the length of the ones that are in these gloves, and they must pad them out so that when they get a little touch like that, it's just enough. I remember the great Sepp Maier. I used to wonder, watching him when he played for West Germany in the International. I mean, he used to have the longest fingers I'd ever seen in my life. I'm sure they were padded out.
Of course, when we're talking about goals these days, people talk about bigger goals. Oh, there's another opportunity! The ball slammed in again by Vialli, but the flag up on the far side. And a free kick given for pushing.
Yes, I think it does give it for pushing, and it's just off the screen. I don't think they quite see it, but again they carve them open with a long ball, and it's just before the end where I think Gianluca Vialli just gives a little nudge, but you can see the referee's position. His position brilliantly, no more than 10 yards away.
Yes, Pandolini, the defender that went down there, but Vialli fighting for everything at the moment, being precious close to adding to the goal he got in 30 seconds. Here he is again. Message to the Italian selectors, as we said earlier in the game. Battistini over here to Berti. Long-legged player Berti, so difficult to mark, fast along the surface. Here he is again. Matthaus, of course, voted 1990 European Footballer of the Year only this week. Our own Paul Gascoigne, the only real serious British contender, finishing fourth. And incidentally, another man on the pitch finishing third, Andreas Brehme of Internazionale. Again, a shot in from the angle. Zenga stops it with the feet, and Brehme it is that pull it away. Andy, I think we've made comments on this before, the way Italian goalkeepers go in feet first to that sort of incident.
Well, that wasn't the most confident of saves from Walter Zenga, and really, I mean, he's been peppered with shots. The confidence that's flowing through this Sampdoria side at the moment is quite remarkable. It's Roberto Mancini again, who cuts in, and that's one you would expect a goalkeeper to go down and smother. And really, coming off his shin like that, it could go anywhere, Graham, but he got the luck, and it dropped at Andreas Brehme's foot, and he was able to clear it. But they look very, very shaky. Anytime Sampdoria play a long ball down the channels, when you've got people like Vialli and Mancini who are prepared to work very, very hard and get in behind defenders, then it will cause you problems, and Inter can't cope with it at the moment.
Going back to that incident with the shin, there was at least a 40% chance that would go off Zenga's shin straight to the roof of his own net. But at the moment, Sampdoria looking like a side smacking for Mikhailichenko, perhaps a little casual with a shot, but he'll have another go at it. Down he goes in the area. Pushed over. He seems to think so anyway. A lot of the fans agree with him. Oh! And that was an elbow in the face by Mikhailichenko as they ran back there, hitting Brehme. Well, there's the incident itself. Down goes Mikhailichenko, and the Inter players are complaining about that incident off the ball.
Yeah, and I don't know whether the referee has seen it. I know that the Inter players are furious, and we just watch it as we come out. Watch Mikhailichenko and Brehme. And he just throws the right arm, catches him on the chin, and the Inter players are round the linesman on this near side, and they're furious. And the referee has gone over to have a word with him, and it just remains to be seen what decision is taken. I'm sure there'll be a card, but the question will be, which colour will it be?
Well, there's no question of any accident there. There was no need for Mikhailichenko to raise his right arm at all in that position. The ball well out of playing distance, both players retreating. And Mr. Stafforgia is certainly, as you say, Andy, going to use one of the cards. Mikhailichenko's got himself out of the way. It's red. That's it. The Russian international gets the early bath. Andy.
Well, that's a huge blow for Sampdoria. And one act of foolishness from Mikhailichenko at a time when his team had got the goal that they so desperately needed, had been playing so well, and we see this act of folly when he's coming out. Absolutely no need for it. The ball's away. A man of his experience. I mean, you can see Bergome and him are having a little bit of a chat with each other about the penalty incident, I'm sure, and that's sheer folly. You can't hope to get away with something like that.
That's exactly the point, isn't it, Andy? With so many television cameras at these grounds, there is no possibility of getting away with that long term, even if you were lucky enough that the referee or linesman didn't see the incident. It's going to be the subject matter of video recordings, etc. Just an act of immaturity, that's all you can say for a player who's got over 20 caps for the Soviet Union. And of course a great encouragement now to Inter.
Oh, definitely, but I suppose he was probably a little bit disappointed at not getting the penalty decision, and coming in top of Bergome, probably rabbiting in his ear and giving him some stick. He's just lost his head for a minute.
Do you think Bergome can speak in Ukrainian?
I think Mikhailichenko can understand Italian.
Good header, superb header, downwards, perfect, textbook, but straight at Pagliuca. Down on his knees to take it.
This is an important 10-15 minutes now coming up for Sampdoria. They have to reorganise, they have to rearrange things, and at the same time not give anything away. I think this is a time when Inter should try and make it count, because teams like this, and I've seen it as a player, Graham, that it's very difficult sometimes to play against 10 men. It's sometimes more difficult to do that than it is against 11. And I'm sure that Inter will feel this and will try to capitalise immediately if they can.
Bianchi, far side, can't get round. And of course Mikhailichenko's influence on this Sampdoria team, especially at home, has got to be missed. It's a lot more than being one body short. A lot of the stuff, even in the first half hour or so of the game, has been coming through the centre of the park. But a team on song, you don't want to lose a player for all sorts of reasons. Berti pushing it forward. Battistini, whose header a few moments ago might be regarded as one of the two closest opportunities Inter have had, along with the cross-goal shot. Andy, this game so far very evenly balanced, isn't it? It's only 1-0 in scoreline after all, but Inter are coming back at it.
Yes, I think although that Sampdoria have the better of the chances, territorial that Inter have played quite well and been in and around the Sampdoria half quite often. It's been a very even game. But I mean, apart from the magnificent start that Gianluca Vialli gave Sampdoria, but Inter will definitely feel, and probably felt before the sending off, they were still in the game. But even more so now, they will feel that they should capitalise and use the extra player to their advantage.
Mancini up to Lombardo. As you were saying, Andy, Lombardo just got in the Italian side, first international against Cyprus last Saturday, which was a 4-0 victory to the Azzurri. And there goes the whistle.
Well, I think it was a whistle.
It was a whistle.
I had that one myself, fooled me as well.
Yes. Approaching half-time anyway. Bergome. Pagliuca coming out there and taking the ball well, something you don't see too much of in Italy. Goalkeeper coming that far out of goal. Lombardo runs into a bit of trouble there just by going too quickly. Despite that hairstyle or hairline, he's in fact only 24.
He's probably had a lot of worries in his life. Bit like yourself, obviously.
That's right. Well, as I always say, moss doesn't grow on a busy street. Bergame, just a bit too long. But I think Berti's complaining that he was being held down there. Goal kick. And this, talking of European awards, and we know that Matthaus has got one this week. Incidentally, this ground, the Stadio Luigi Ferraris, voted the best ground in Europe in a recent poll, largely been redesigned. ready for the 1990 World Cup here. But a British-type ground without a running track round the edge of it, and the crowd very close, and the atmosphere one that we would recognise in Britain. In case people wonder who Luigi Ferraris was, let me rather learnedly tell you that in fact he was a centre-half for Genoa, and that will come as a surprise, I know, to even Cognoscenti of the Italian game, because he was killed in the First World War, which would even be a bit before your time. Into overtime in the first half now. Pagani. Again the cross too near the goalkeeper. Pagliuca out on the near post. Still waiting for his first cap, Gianluca Pagliuca. Went to the World Cup with the national squad, but sat on the bench throughout. And so it looks like the only goal of the first half is going to be that one in the first 30 seconds. Handball against Battistini.
And I do think both managers will be quite happy to see half-time for the same reasons, and that Vujadin Boskov can get his team in the dressing room and reorganise his 10 men, and Giovanni Trapattoni can get his 11 together and see which way they're going to best utilise the extra man. So they'll both be looking forward to getting their sides into the dressing room at half-time.
Certainly the sparkle has gone out of Sampdoria since Mikhailichenko was sent off, and there we go, that's the half-time whistle. So a goal in the first 30 seconds, the only one of the first half on the Stadio Luigi Ferraris in Genoa. That half-time scoreline then, and it's the one they've been wanting in Genoa all week. Sampdoria 1, Internazionale Milan 0. So welcome back to the Stadio Luigi Ferraris in Genoa. Sampdoria 1, Internazionale Milan 0. And a battle between the team third, that's Sampdoria, and the team first, Inter Milan, at kick-off this afternoon. And of course this scoreline, if it was to hold to the end of the game, would certainly take Sampdoria ahead of Inter, and their actual position will then depend on the result across the country in the game between Milan and Juventus. And it could happen, Andy, with the right results, that Sampdoria could go top if they win this game by a score of 2-0 to get ahead of Inter.
Yes, it's a big weekend in Italian football this weekend, with Juventus visiting Milan as well, and Inter visiting Sampdoria here. And you know, depending on the results, it's very important, I would think, for the teams in third and fourth place, both Sampdoria and Milan, who have the advantage of being at home today. It really is important that they both win, or certainly that none of them get beat, none of those two get beat, because they will not want any gaps appearing at the top of the Serie. So really the emphasis is on both the home sides, both Milan and Sampdoria here, to get the results. But it's going to be hard for Sampdoria, having lost a man, and we can see already how they're conceding ground, Graham, and funneling back, and it looks like they're going to make it very difficult as it can for Inter.
And of course, Sampdoria must have been talking in their dressing room during the half-time interval about their organisation since Mikhailichenko was sent off in the first half. And certainly the fizz and bubble that the hometown team had certainly hasn't been present since that time. And they must be regretting now that they weren't able to capitalise on a couple of chances and really give themselves some insurance, Andy.
Yes, they would have liked an extra goal, I'm sure they would have, but we're in a position here where we've seen this number 10, the European Footballer of the Year, look so deadly from.
But in fact he scored at Cesena from pretty well this position, if I seem to recall, with that bullet of a drive. Almost exactly the same position. And I'm sure that's on Sampdoria's minds. They're rolled to him, to Matthaus, but off an elbow and away to safety.
If there's one note of caution that you could probably add to for Inter, it would be that in throwing men forward, that they are going to be vulnerable, because Sampdoria have men like Vialli, Mancini and Lombardo, who are absolutely brilliant at going at players and making it very difficult and using their pace. So Inter have just got to be a little cautious as well, even though they have to go out looking for a goal.
Mancini pushing one up that right-hand side, Goal scorer Vialli after it. Waiting in the middle is Katanec if the ball can be got back to him, but the three Inter players, Brehme in particular, dispossess the striker rather easier perhaps than they should have done. Paganin, and he will certainly be one of the players wanting to win for an extra reason. He used to be with Sampdoria until 1988. There he is, putting the ball across the middle, but without inspiration, that cross. Free kick to Sampdoria. Again, a vigorous challenge that I think perhaps back in England he might have got away with. To Serie. Push from the back. There you can see in the back of our pictures the beautiful redesigned stadium right in the port of Genoa. The coastline no more than 300 to 400 yards away from this pitch.
Yeah, not many spaces here today, is there?
No. And right enough, and they've been well entertained as well. No doubt feeling that a second goal is what Sampdoria so badly require to counteract the experience of this Inter side.
Well, when you looked at the tables and you look at Inter's record this year, Graham, it is an impressive one in the goal-scoring stakes. They scored 27 goals already in Serie and are the top goal scorers. So Sampdoria will have that in the back of their minds and possibly thinking that they may need another goal if they are going to win this game.
Mancini there, caught by Brehme. Seems to me that Matthaus is beginning to take the ball further and further back in the side, actually. And a few moments ago, as Andy was speaking there, he completely mishit a ball. Anyway, this is Brehme. Good header on. Oh, and a great header in close range from Berti. He nets the rebound. 1-1. 50 minutes gone on the clock, and Nicola Berti, with only his second goal of the season, and the other one was equally important. It was in the Milan local derby. The first header brilliantly saved by Pagliuca, and Berti lucky to get the rebound, but give him his due, hammering it in from a narrow angle off his weaker foot.
Well, this is certainly made in Germany, isn't it? It's a tremendous cross from Brehme. Klinsmann gets up there and gets the flick on. Pagliuca gets absolutely no luck. He makes a magnificent save, but let's give credit to Nicola Berti. He was alive enough to keep on his feet, and although he didn't hit it well, it's sometimes the ones you miss hit that go in the back of the net. But we've got a game now. This is really a test for this Sampdoria side. Having lost a goal after only 4 minutes of the second half, Inter couldn't have wished for a better start to the half, in the same way that Sampdoria couldn't have wished for a better start to the first.
Yes, perhaps sometimes, Andy, you'll know as an ex-centre forward, when you get those rebounds and you get them off balance there, and Berti was leaning right back, those are the sort you put clean over the bar from 3 or 4 feet.
But that's the position, though, that Nicola Berti's brilliant at getting into. His runs forward are an aspect of Inter's game that I really enjoy, and it's very difficult to mark him. It was noticeable there that he was completely wide open. No one could get near him, and unless you've got a midfield player that's prepared to track him right back into his own 6-yard box, then invariably they will get away.
And using his considerable height to advantage. Well, just as Inter looked as if they were going to be struggling, they snatched that equaliser. And of course, remember that they have the advantage of a full team. Whereas Sampdoria are down to 10 men with Mikhailichenko being sent off. Good ball over this side to Bianchi. Got plenty of room when he got it. Rather ran into trouble there. Matthaus swings one in. Oh, and that was inches away. Serena's header, a beauty, right over the ball and down for the bottom corner, and it couldn't have missed by much more than a few inches.
Well, Aldo Serena is regarded as the best header of the ball, best Italian player at headering the ball in this country, and this is a magnificent chance. It's a great ball in from Matthaus. I can't fault the header at all, Graham. It's a super header down. It looks like it's heading for the bottom corner, but just shaves the outside of the post.
Pagliuca, no chance, had he?
He didn't even move for it, Graham.
He'd waved that one goodbye. And as he turned round, he must have thought, as did the crowd, that it was in. Now it's Inter with the extra step and the extra confidence. Klinsmann back post, and I think getting a little bit of his own medicine there as he was chasing the long cross. But look at the disgust on his face.
Well, now Sampdoria are going to be asked the questions, aren't they? We wondered how long they could hold out. We did feel that Inter were capable of getting a goal, but we didn't think it would be as quickly as that. And now the questions are all for Sampdoria to answer. And this is a huge test. Are they going to be good enough for the title? This could be one big step in that direction.
Lombardo. Mancini waiting for the ball, didn't come. Yes, of course, if Sampdoria to get their first ever Serie A title, and remember they've never finished higher than 4th. That they've done 3 times actually, 1961, 1985 and 1988. But if they are to get their title, then like most champions, they've got to be pretty well inviolate on their own home park. And they've got passionate support too, as is always the case in ports all around the world too.
I know that from Glasgow.
I was just about to take the point with you, Andy. Absolutely right. There's something about the sea breeze in football all the way around the world, isn't there? Liverpool, Buenos Aires, Glasgow, as you say. And this, Italy's second port.
I think there's a lot to do with the whiskey in Glasgow as well.
Well, you are to know that, and me to only wonder, Andy. Well, 2 substitutes were warming up there for Inter. Touched on by Serena to Klinsmann. Matthaus, but not quite getting an opportunity to set himself there. And hitting the ball with the right boot, but not getting it square at all, sending it fizzing past the post. Must have been some hearts in mouths in Genoa as that one went off Matthaus's boot.
Yeah, but ominous signs at the moment for Sampdoria. They have to just compose themselves, much in the way that Inter had to do in the first half. Now it's Sampdoria's time to compose themselves, not to concede another goal, and just try and grind something out of this game. I mean, I'm sure that Vujadin Boskov would be happy with that scoreline after 90 minutes, but we must wait and see on that one.
Yankee. Good play there by Katanec. Paganini's ball stopped across field, free kick to Sampdoria. And at the moment it certainly looks like Sampdoria's dream of ending 1990 at the top of the table will be delayed, because they need a victory by 2 clear goals, and this one tied up at 1-1 at the moment. But that's a subsidiary target. They'll be just glad enough to scrape home by the odd goal and leave being top of the table perhaps to the right time of the next May. And the crowd too noticeably quieter since Sampdoria were held square by that goal. Pushing inside the penalty area. Matthaus everywhere, taking that free kick from inside his own penalty area and wanting to get on with it. That's perhaps a measure of the confidence that Inter are feeling about their game at the moment.
I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that Sampdoria are just conceding the ground in front of them and just saying to Inter, OK, if you want another goal, you're going to have to break us down. We're certainly not going to come out and make it easy for you. If you just look in the picture there, we can see 10 Sampdoria players there behind the ball, and they're going to make it as difficult as they can for Inter.
Serena brought down from behind. Do you think those are the right tactics, Andy, when you're playing a home game like this in a passionate, tight cockpit of a stadium?
I don't think they're tactics of choice, Graham. I think they're tactics of necessity. The situation, having lost a man, it means that you have to really be a little bit cautious. Sampdoria will feel, as I said earlier, that with Vialli, Lombardo and Mancini on the pitch, they can still trouble Inter in breakaways. So they won't be too despondent about having to defend for long periods of time.
Matthaus with that free kick. First time crack from his German counterpart, Paganini. Put away by Paris. Paris it is that's bringing it away now. Mancini, crashing with Serie. Sampdoria funneling back, Klinsmann on the near post. Lombardo into the box. Mancini goes tumbling.
I'm just looking actually at the tables in front of me, Graham, and I think we'll probably find, I don't know if my arithmetic's as good as yours, but I think that Sampdoria actually only have to win this game by one clear goal, and if they could achieve that, then I think you would find that they will go top. But as I say, my arithmetic, I'm getting a bit old and senile, and my arithmetic
You're
might not be quite
right,
as good.
Andy, and what I, of course, hadn't put in my mind, of course, is that the goal that they would get is against Inter, who are the team that they're overtaking. So automatically when they get one go, Inter go back a go. Thank you very much, Andy.
I knew that O-level would come in handy sometime.
Well, thank you for taking it, Andy. Certainly saved by Bacon. 5 men in the wall, a good shot, just screams over the top. And the only man confident that wasn't going in the whole ground was Walter Zenga.
Well, it was fiercely hit, wasn't it? And I think Walter Zenga was obviously very confident. It's Pellegrini that comes up and hits it, and oh, that's very close. But I think Zenga, to give him credit, he did have it covered. It's straight over the top of him.
So here's the first substitution of the afternoon. And this for a side already down to 10 men. Right on the hour mark. Invernizzi coming on and Dossena going off. So there we are. Dossena goes off and Bonetti comes on. It's a famous name in English football, Bonetti, no relation, no close relation anyway. Possibly an injury there, doesn't seem to have a great tactical significance. And let me remind you, if you've just joined us, Sampdoria down to 10 men. Mikhailo Chenko being sent off just after the half hour. 1-1, just over the hour. Good play by Berti, drags it back. Too ambitious crossfield ball. Lana right up with his attackers there. A strange position to adopt.
It just shows you, though, that when they get the opportunity, Sampdoria, and have the ball, that they are prepared to throw men forward. We see Marco Lana, as you say, up in the left wing position.
Klinsmann trying to find Bianchi, but the ball never really under control. Free kick given for pushing. And the tension evident on the faces of the Sampdoria players. They know the importance of the next 25 minutes. Bianchi teases it in, but a misunderstanding with Klinsmann, and an opportunity for the visitors rather wasted.
Matthaus furious as well. He'd made a brilliant run on the outside and only basically needed the ball rolled into his path and was completely ignored, and he was absolutely furious with his teammate.
Of course, their task, even against 10 men of Sampdoria, not an easy one. Sampdoria have kept a clean sheet in half their games in the Italian First Division this year. That's really the basis of success here in Italy. Lombardo. Not seen so much of Vialli in this second half as we did in the first. Confident play there by Mandolini, and he nearly paid for it. Well, he seemed to look backwards, but he certainly didn't survey the view that he would have had. Mandolini could have paid a very high price for that back pass. Vialli in there, cleared out by Brehme. Katanec pushed through for Lombardo. Lombardo goes tumbling.
Well, I'm sure, I honestly can't believe what Mandolini was trying to do there. He's just played it totally blind. And you mentioned that we hadn't seen much of Vialli as an attacking force, but in that one instant he nearly made up for everything. Makes the cardinal sin, Graham, of not looking before he passes it back.
And yet he seemed to, Andy. One could see his eyes looking in that direction, his brain presumably not engaged.
But I think we do a little bit of an injustice to people like Vialli, Lombardo and Mancini's second half when we say we haven't seen much of them. What they are contributing is they're making it very hard for Inter to get through. They're contributing an awful lot defensively towards their team. They're sacrificing a bit of personal glory for the good of the team, and I like to see that in any player, but in an international it's good to see.
Give Zenga some credit there too, because he was out on Vialli and chances were that Vialli was going to nick it past him, but he spread himself superbly.
But the danger's not over yet.
Far from it. Lombardo now fully fit after receiving attention from the trainer. And I suppose 10 yards outside the penalty area. Curled by Mancini, but not past the wall. He'll be disappointed with that. I don't quite know what he was doing with that free kick. Didn't really hit it hard enough to be dangerous, even if it had got round the wall.
Very ambitious. I think the bend it would have had to have taken would have been quite incredible.
Yes. Battistini doing enough for Inter there on the jump. Serena and Klinsmann changing roles there at the moment. Klinsmann gone out on the left-hand side. Well, it certainly seems to me that Battistini has an argument about that. He had the Sampdoria player climbing all over his kidneys, and then he's penalised for what looked to be obstruction. Lombardo, Mancini chips it through, and Vialli, who's got that predatory nature of good Italian strikers, just waiting to get that opportunity to go through on Zenga. But on that occasion, our referee, Mr. Starforgia, says it was pushing. I think it's going to be one of those instances, Andy, of which you spoke, that it's no easier playing against 10 than it is against 11.
I think it's more difficult, and I'm sure that Inter, looking at the game, would probably feel that they probably wish that Mikhailichenko hadn't been sent off. I know it sounds strange, but what it has done is it's made it very difficult for them to break through. Had Sampdoria been as open and attractive as they were before Mikhailichenko's exit, then I'm sure Inter would have found more gaps to exploit. But at the moment you can see they're knocking it square, but not really progressing with any great purpose.
Brehme, Klinsmann diving vainly. You and I have spoken about players wearing gloves before, but it's an additional insult, Andy, when the substitute wears gloves.
It shows you how cold it is sitting in that bench.
Approaching three-quarter time. Vialli, scorer of the goal in the first 30 seconds of the match. Sampdoria haven't scored since. Here comes Lana, good cross. Bari, Mancini, ignores Pellegrini, flicks it up to Lombardo, and Lombardo trying to knock it down into the path of Vialli.
Good patient build-up as well from Sampdoria, and not only that, it eats up the clock as well. Important for them to have as much possession as possible.
Mancini, good shot, on target. Zenga had to patrol it, covering his near post. It's the modern mode of goalkeepers all over Western Europe, when they've made a really good save, to look daggers at the men in front of them as if it's not their job to make saves at all. And Zenga there, looking highly displeased with the defenders in front of him, who at the end of the day had at least contributed to his glory. Bianchi, Matthaus, pulling the strings. Berti. Misunderstanding with Klinsmann makes it easier for Sampdoria. Good ball. Just a bit too long for Lombardo. Benetti. Vialli turning, trying to look for his opening. Does well enough actually to get it out to Lombardo. Zenga choosing his moment to come off his line and take it quite easily. Needs no translator for what he was then shouting at his defenders.
I did wonder, Graham, at half-time whether Giovanni Trapattini would consider it sometime, maybe taking off one of his defenders and putting on either Pizzi or Iorio, who are more attack-minded, and take a gamble. But I think it's testimony to how dangerous Sampdoria have looked even with 10 men, that he's had to keep his defensive formation intact.
Tackled by Pagliuca and Benetti, and I think it's going to be a booking. Well, it's so hard to distinguish from what's bookable and what's not bookable, but it certainly to me was arguable that Pagliuca was going for that ball, and if he'd have got it, it would have been a splendid tackle, and he missed by very little.
That's usually the difference, isn't it, Graham? It's if they get it, it's a great tackle.
Yes, and if they don't,
if they don't, he's in the book.
High stakes. All the big men up on the back post. Taken by Mancini. Oh, off the bar! And all the big men were on the back post, and Vialli was on the near post and rattled the top of the crossbar. And Zenga was beaten, Andy.
Yes, it's a great ball in, it's good delivery, it's bent in towards the near post. Zenga has come out and committed himself, but Vialli just gets up in front of him, and really, had he directed it anywhere down, as you can see, there was an open goal there. Glorious chance. But hasn't he looked full of menace today, Gianluca Vialli? And the Italian manager Mancini must wonder why he's left him out. I mean, on performances like this, I can't understand why he's not in the Italian squad.
It was a great tactic by Sampdoria. They had got everybody's eyes looking back post, and it was laid in beautifully to the near post. Anyway, another substitution. Berti goes, and Pizzi comes on. So Sampdoria, of course, who kick off in third place, and where they're going to end up, and it could be the top of the table, depends on the situation in the Milan-Juventus game, about 200 miles away. And all they'll be concerned about is winning this match, and that will guarantee they go ahead of Inter. It will not guarantee that they go top of the table, though that is possible. As I say, depending on the match over there in Milan. And Klinsmann trying to work himself an opening. He's not given up, retaining Inter's table-topping position. Offside against Vialli. And of course, what's so much the edge in Genoa is, of course, that Sampdoria have never won a title. Internazionale have won 13, second only to Juventus in Italy. And it would be a great thing, wouldn't it, Andy?
Oh, it would be wonderful. I think, like in every country, if a team can come up from nowhere and has never won your Premier League, then it's always wonderful for the game itself. But I've just listened to the fans around, and they really are growing in confidence. You do get the feeling that they believe their team can actually get a positive result from this. Suddenly they're lifted from the last bit of attacking football we've seen, and Sampdoria look very confident.
Serena doing the build-up, Bianchi with the shot, and Lombardo back and heading it back neatly to his goalkeeper. You can feel the tension.
But look at him go. There's Lombardo. This is the kind of team they are. He's just headed it back to his goalkeeper, and then he's over the halfway line already, looking for the ball in an attacking position. That's great team play, and that's what the players have done today, and that's what's made it so difficult for Inter.
Bit of shirt pulling, but I thought wasn't going to go remarked on, actually. Mancini's shirt nearly pulled out of his shorts. Yes, as you say, Andy, the absence of Mikhailo Chenko not at the forefront of Sampdoria's mind, and therefore will not be at the top of their list of excuses if the game doesn't go right for them. Very positive attitude, of course, spurred on by this crowd. Good touch there by Lana. Benetti. Begloved Benetti. Pitching himself forward, and he's got the free kick. Battistini showing the referee exactly what he thought the blue-shirted, begloved Benetti actually did.
And now they've got the slide rule out, deciding exactly where that incident took place. Defenders saying one place, the forward saying another.
What they lose on the turf, they'll gain in the wall, I think, because I don't think Inter will be retreating 10 metres at the first opportunity. Well, it's Vialli and Mancini standing over the ball. Zenga all attention. It's a dangerous position. It's a little more than 10 yards, I would have thought. Back to that wall. Trapattoni, manager of Inter, rolled, and Vialli, all confidence, and it's misplaced on that occasion. Wasted chance, Andy.
Yeah, that's his worst effort of the game. I'm just thinking back to seeing Trapattoni there on the sideline, thinking about his substitution. Certainly if I was a manager, then Nicola Berti is not the type of player that I would have been taking off in a game like this. When you're looking for a goal in a tight match like this, as he's already proven earlier on in this half, he's certainly a man capable of getting goals, and I find it very strange that he should take Berti off and just replace him with Fausto Pizzi. I know Pizzi has got a couple of goals in his last 2 league outings, and it may be that he's hoping that he'll make it 3 in a row, but I just, in a situation like this, then Nicola Berti's one player you could rely on.
And just looking at that caption there, which is shots on target, easy lead for Sampdoria, belies the fact they've only got 10 men. Here's Klinsmann trying to put that score equal, but that's a shot off target, however. Twice as many shots for Sampdoria as for Milan, but still only 1-1, and there is 15 to go on the clock. There you can see from that camera behind the goal the packed terraces and seating area, tribunes as they're called in Italy. It's only the poorer seats down at pitch level where there's any room at all. Flicked down by Berti, looking for Klinsmann. Paganin, cross to Battistini, Matthaus, and the Italian captain, Bergami. The longest serving player at Inter, incidentally, he's been there 11 years. And he has 75 international caps as well, but this is Battistini. Ball back to him, very patient. Gets off the floor to involve himself in the 4th time on this move alone. Bianchi. Bianchi's had a lot of space this side. He hasn't always used it terribly well.
I think it's absolutely brilliant when the good players in the game, and how good they are at getting free kicks and just easing the pressure a little bit. I mean, Vialli knows his team are under the cosh a little bit. They've got 10 men, but he gets the ball midway in his own half and thinks, I just got a little free kick here. It just eases pressure and it gives his team a chance of a breather. It really is quite amazing.
I positively believe that on Tuesdays they spend the day falling over in Italy. It's an important skill in the game, isn't it? And it has some mighty good exponents. Berti not able to get round Paris on that occasion. Lots of instructions coming out from the benches to their players as the ball is around the halfway line. Probably no more comprehensible than their English manager equivalents either. Katanec there, playing the ball across, but Sampdoria, do you think they've settled for a draw, Andy? 13-12 to go?
I think, I mean, I certainly don't think that Sampdoria will take on any unnecessary risks in the last 12 or 13 minutes. And, you know, it's something that they'll play for the draw. I'm sure they'd be quite happy with the point under the circumstances. But obviously, if a goal came along, then they certainly wouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. But Inter's the one I wonder about. Will they settle for the draw? Will they be happy, as I'm sure they would have been before the game started, with the point? Will they see this as a fantastic opportunity to get a win that they probably couldn't have looked for in normal circumstances?
Good run by Pagliuca, comes to nothing in the end. Ball given away easily there by Sampdoria. Matthaus, Battistini, just a bit too long.
I think it's a time in the match when we must pay credit to the defenders of Sampdoria as well, led magnificently by Vialli, who's had a tremendous game and marshalled these defenders brilliantly and made it incredibly difficult. I think Pellegrini's had a magnificent game as well, Lana's played well, Paris played well, they've all defended magnificently.
Vialli scored a goal for Italy against Cyprus last Saturday. Son, incidentally, of a Russian immigrant, and that was his 34th cap for Italy last weekend. Very experienced player, been here at Sampdoria since 1983, and his commitment is wholehearted. It's he that's on the ball there, rolling it back to Pagliuca. Minutes ticking away, 10 on the clock. Sampdoria 1, Internazionale 1. And that's after Sampdoria scored in the first 30 seconds and then had Mikhailichenko sent off 2/3 the way through the first half. And Nicola Berti pulled one back for Inter in 49 minutes.
Yes, it's been the classic case of the team pushing forward against the team with the man less, trying to get a breakthrough, the 10-man team funneling back. I mean, look at Roberto Mancini there, just turning his back on the play, not interested in going looking for the ball, making it as difficult as they can and hoping that they can break out and catch the team at full strength on the hop.
Epitomised too there by Vialli, who has been up around the Inter box all afternoon, and we caught him there 15-20 yards inside his own half for the first time that I recall anyway in this game.
You do him an injustice.
Lombardo across, headed away by Mandolini, who's probably got over the nervous exhaustion of his back pass 5 minutes ago. Mancini, Lombardo, got a bit of space here, comes across, handball! Surely handball! In fact, he did very well to handle it. Yes, penalty given. Well, Andy, what a surprise, and in my opinion, no necessity for it.
We had said that Lombardo and Mancini can trouble him with pace, and that's what he's done. It's a magnificent cross, but I mean, no doubts about that. Pagani's just caught out. I'm sure that Vialli would have been scoring from his header, and he knows he's been caught, Paganini, and all he can think to do is stick a hand up. But what a moment for Gianluca Vialli.
Well, that is in fact the instructions going out there from Boskov.
I don't quite know what he can say when a penalty, so anything but please score. I think that's what he's trying to say.
The alternative is don't miss it, isn't it? Well, there's quite a lot of Sampdoria's season going to be determined in the next 20-30 seconds, and the man in form going to be taking it, Gianluca Vialli, out of the Italian side, but scored in the first minute of this match against the enormous figure, that's how it must look, of Walter Zenga, the Italian goalkeeper, his compatriot in so many international appearances, which must possibly give him a very slight advantage. So it's Vialli, and this for the lead. Taken, goal, 2-1. Only just, but hit with superb confidence. Zenga picked the right direction and couldn't have been far short of the ball.
Well, so composed, it's quite incredible. In a red-hot situation, Sampdoria are indeed fortunate to have someone with that composure. Zenga goes the right way, he goes early, but the penalty struck too well.
Perfect penalty, isn't it, Andy? Hit right into the corner and not on the floor. So the goalkeeper has both dimensions to think about.
And if we're being honest, we have to say that it's not undeserved. They've battled tremendously hard, and even with the 10 men, they've still caused Inter tremendous problems, and they've got the break. That their hard work and their skill has deserved this second half.
Well, I don't know what Trapattoni's going to say in the dressing room at the end of the match for that handball. And here's the man that did it, Antonio Paganin. May indicate that Paganin has a second career as a goalkeeper, because in my opinion he did really well to handle it as it came over. Vialli waiting, back post, and Klinsmann with Vialli.
Well, I think that Vujadin Boskov believes in his heart that this is the best side he's put together at Sampdoria and has the most realistic chance of taking the title. And I think this performance that you and I have the pleasure of seeing today can only enhance that claim. It has been a magnificent team performance, and you really do feel the way things have gone that they are going to get the victory, and they are, depending on the result in Milan. They will go to the top of the table, justifiably so.
Just listen to that crowd all around the Stadio Luigi Ferraris. Tremendous ebullience. Yes, and Boskov, of course, a very experienced manager, took the Spanish championship at Real Madrid 10 years ago, and he's been here for 5 years at Sampdoria, and he's lifted them from an also-ran club to one of the genuine contenders, though an outsider, a genuine contenders for the First Division Championship. And this will be an important victory if Sampdoria can hold on. And there is at the moment about 5 minutes to go.
Again, we talk the substitutions happening. Iorio's coming on, and I can't believe they're taking off Jurgen Klinsmann. They badly need a goal. They're desperate for a goal. Surely they must take off a defender, throw another striker on up beside Klinsmann and Serena, and have a go. But there we go. We see Jurgen Klinsmann walk off the pitch. If he's not injured, it's a very strange decision from Trapattoni.
Very strange. Klinsmann didn't hang around either, did he? But as you say, it could be an injury. Well, everybody in the stadium, I think, who's a Sampdoria fan, or even a neutral, looking now at the watch. And as long as the ball is this deep in the Inter half, they won't have a worry. We repeat that Inter haven't lost since the middle of October, any league game. But they are into the teeth of defeat here. Vialli with a low cross. Mancini trying to make some room, he did so, but couldn't quite get the ball where he wanted it to smack in his shot. Here comes Vialli. On to Mancini, he's got an awful lot of space, 3-1! That's it! Game, set and match, I fear, for Sampdoria. And around the ground, fiesta time. Mancini's goal has surely put Internazionale out of sight in this one. And Vialli coming forward for the first time in the match, and nobody on Mancini, and Zenga realised the hopelessness of his task against finishing like that.
Oh, watch this is tremendous play at the end, so late in a game that they've defended for long periods. But it's a sweeper. Vialli comes out, brilliant first touch from Mancini, but he knows exactly what he's going to do. And you're right, that's game, that's set, and that's the match.
Yes. good shot by Mancini in itself, Andy. You're a striker. I would have picked the other side of the goal to crack that one, coming up from behind.
I think when you turn like that in that situation, what you do, you make up your mind whether you're going to place it and wait for the keeper or you're going to smack it. Mancini decided he was going to use power. He got it up over the Zenga, and what a finish.
So 3-1. And the only thing it does prove is that Sampdoria will go up a place in the table. They will overtake Inter on this scoreline. And their ultimate destination over the New Year period will depend on the other game, Milan and Juventus.
Listen, it's no surprise to see one or two of the Sampdoria players suffering. I'm sure that's a bit of cramp we can see there in the right-hand corner of your screen. They've worked tremendously hard, put an awful lot into the game. And my God, have their efforts been not rewarded.
Do you see them as genuine contenders from here, Andy?
Well, I don't think you can discount them. They have shown they've been up there many, many years now. They've threatened to do something like this. And I think this year, they've shown that they can live with the best. As I said earlier in the commentary, their record against the top 3 or 4 sides that are up there with them is the best out of all the teams, and so that must give them confidence. And they finish the year now with a result like this against the team at the top of the table, having lost a man midway through the first half, is quite remarkable. This can only do nothing but boost their confidence and really give them the surge that they need if they do end up top today, to stay there for quite a while.
Well, New Year is a tremendous festival in Italy. It's the equivalent of the British Guy Fawkes Day. It's fireworks all over the show. We've seen some on the pitch this afternoon, are sending off 4 goals, some beautiful football. But as Andy Gray's been saying all afternoon, a team performance from Sampdoria. Playing for an hour without Mikhailichenko, and now with a 3-1 advantage as the seconds tick away. Less than a minute on the clock. In fact, regular time coming to an end now. So we're into overtime.
We've been very glowing about Sampdoria, haven't we, in the second half? But if we look at Inter, I think Giovanni Trapattoni will be very disappointed in his side's performance this second half. I don't think his substitutions have helped him much either. But can you think of many saves that Pagliuca's had to make second half? I can't.
No.
And that's a measure of how they've found it very difficult to get through to that man in the picture just now.
That's right. That shot was from Matthaus, incidentally, straight down the channel into the goalkeeper's arms. It's been a beautifully balanced game in many ways. The first half hour dominated by Sampdoria, and then Inter running the middle third of the game, and then perhaps equality, and then the 2 goals in the last 8 minutes of the match have won it. Invernizzion.
Yes, that substitution purely to eat up a bit of the clock. The Italian sides do that an awful lot.
Not connected with appearance money, you don't think, Andy?
Well, it could well be, yes. I do know it in Italy. They do say that you have to actually play to be awarded the win bonus. And it could be that Boskov feels that Invernizzi's performances, his training in the week, have warranted a win bonus. And if so, that's a great touch from a manager.
Pagliuca, quite prepared to use the other foot on a clearance there. The referee, Mr. Staffoggia, looking at his watch. You'd have to go a long way to find a better candidate for man of the match than Gianluca Vialli, I think, Andy.
Yes, I can't argue with that on that. If you had to ask me who's been the most impressive, not only has he got 2 vital goals for them, not only has he led the line brilliantly when he's had to, but he's not been too shy to come back and help his defenders out. We've seen him halfway in his own half defending, getting tackles in. It's been quite a magnificent overall performance from him. Here we see him in right in the middle of our picture. Where's he going? Jogging back into the defence, even this late.
90 seconds into overtime. Serena, Paganin, Serena caught in possession, Brehme comes back, but it all looks a bit hopeless for Inter. It certainly is now. That's it. That's it from the stadium. Luigi Ferraris in Genoa. Sampdoria get exactly the result they want, and watch those fans celebrate. New Year is going to be quite some event in this Italian port city. All week they've been concentrating on the importance of this fixture, and they've got the win that they wanted. Vialli scoring 2 of them, Mancini adding a so important third, has meant that it's a happy New Year in Genoa. That final score, just look at those shots, 13 for Sampdoria,